In the bustling heart of Lagos, Nigeria, where the morning sun painted the sky in shades of orange and gold, a young nurse named Amara hurried through the crowded streets. Her worn-out shoes kicked up dust from the unpaved roads as she made her way to the small community clinic where she worked. Life had not been kind to Amara, but she wore her struggles like an invisible cloak, never letting them dim the light in her eyes. Amara was 28 years old, the eldest of 6 children. Her father had passed away when she was 16, leaving her mother to raise the family alone by selling vegetables in the local market. Despite their poverty, Amara's mother had one dream, that at least one of her children would become educated and lift the family out of their suffering. That burden fell on Amara's shoulders. Through scholarships, odd jobs, and countless sleepless nights, Amara had managed to complete her nursing training. She graduated with honors, her heart swelling with hope that better days were finally ahead. But life in Lagos was expensive and jobs were scarce. After months of searching, she finally secured a position at a small clinic in Mushin, one of the city's poorest neighborhoods. The pay was meager, barely enough to cover her rent in a cramped single room and send a little money home to her mother. Most nights, Amara went to bed hungry, choosing to skip meals so her younger siblings could eat. Yet despite her own hardships, her compassion for others never wavered. Every morning, Amara's route to the clinic took her past an abandoned building near the railway tracks. The structure had once been a factory, but now it stood hollow and forgotten, its walls covered in graffiti and its windows shattered. Most people avoided the area, saying it was dangerous and filled with criminals. One rainy morning, 3 months after starting her job, Amara heard something that made her stop in her tracks. It was a faint sound barely audible over the patter of rain on tin roofs. A weak, rasping cough followed by a soft moan of pain. Amara looked around. The street was empty, everyone having taken shelter from the sudden downpour. The sound came again, and this time she was certain it came from inside the abandoned building. "Hello," she called out, her voice trembling slightly. "Is someone there?" Only the rain answered her. Against her better judgment, Amara stepped through the broken doorway. The smell inside was overwhelming, a mixture of mold, urine, and decay. She covered her nose with her hand and moved deeper into the darkness, following the sound of labored breathing. In the far corner, beneath a piece of torn cardboard that served as shelter from the leaking roof, lay an elderly woman. Her clothes were tattered and filthy, her hair matted against her head, and her skin had the grayish pallor of severe illness. Amara rushed to her side and knelt down. "Mama, can you hear me?" The woman's eyes fluttered open, clouded with fever. Her lips were cracked and bleeding, and when she tried to speak, only a whisper emerged. "Water, please." Without hesitation, Amara pulled out the small bottle of water she always carried and helped the woman take tiny sips. Then she felt her forehead burning hot. "Mama, you're very sick. I need to get you to a hospital." The woman shook her head weakly. "No, no money. They will chase me away." Amara's heart broke. She knew the woman was right. Without money, most hospitals would turn her away, especially someone who appeared to be homeless. "What's your name, Mama?" Amara asked softly. "Grace," the woman whispered. "My name is Grace. Mama Grace, I'm going to help you. I promise." Amara knew she couldn't carry the woman alone, and she was already late for work. She made a quick decision. She removed her own raincoat and covered Mama Grace with it, then placed her bottle of water beside her. "I have to go to work, but I'll come back during my lunch break with medicine and food. Please, Mama, hold on until then." The old woman's eyes filled with tears. "God bless you, my child." Amara ran all the way to the clinic, arriving soaking wet and 30 minutes late. Her supervisor, Nurse Chioma, was waiting at the entrance with her arms crossed and a stern expression on her face. "Amara, this is the 3rd time this month you've been late." "I'm so sorry, Ma." "There was. I don't want to hear excuses. One more time and you'll lose this job. Do you understand?" Amara nodded, her head bowed. "Yes, Ma. I'm very sorry." Throughout the morning, as Amara tended to patients, bandaging wounds, administering injections, checking vital signs, Her mind kept returning to Mama Grace lying alone in that abandoned building. During her break, instead of eating the small portion of rice she had packed for lunch, she wrapped it carefully and added some of her own medicine supplies to a bag. When lunchtime came, she hurried back to the abandoned building. Mama Grace was still there, shivering despite the afternoon heat. Amara helped her sit up and fed her the rice, spoonful by spoonful. Then she cleaned the woman's face and hands with a wet cloth and checked her temperature. "Mama, you have malaria, and it's very severe. You also have pneumonia. You need proper treatment. I told you. I have no money." Amara thought for a moment. "What if I treat you here? I can bring medicine every day. It won't be as good as a hospital, but it's better than nothing." Mama Grace looked at her with disbelief. "Why? Why would you do this for me? You don't even know me." Amara smiled gently. "Because you're a human being, Mama, and you deserve care, just like anyone else." From that day forward, Amara's life took on a new rhythm. Every morning before work, she would stop at the abandoned building to check on Mama Grace. She would bring food, water, medicine, and clean the woman's makeshift shelter as best she could. During lunch, she would return to administer medication and change bandages. And sometimes after her exhausting shift ended, she would visit again just to sit with the old woman and talk. Slowly, Mama Grace began to improve. The fever broke after a week. Her cough became less severe. Color returned to her cheeks, and she could sit up without help. As Mama Grace grew stronger, she began to talk about her life. She told Amara about her husband, who had died many years ago, and her only son, Chiquiti, who had been a brilliant student. "My Chiquiti, he was so smart," Mama Grace would say, her eyes distant with memory. "He won a scholarship to study in America. Engineering. He was going to build bridges, big, strong bridges." "What happened to him, Mama?" Amara asked gently. The old woman's face clouded over. "I don't know. After he left, he would call me every week. He would send money. He was doing so well. But then, 5 years ago, the calls stopped. The money stopped. I waited and waited, but nothing. I tried to find him, but I don't know how to use computers or phones properly. I asked people to help me, but no one would. Maybe something happened to him, Mama. Maybe he lost your contact information." Mama Grace shook her head sadly. "Or maybe he forgot about his old mother. Maybe he found a new life and didn't want to remember where he came from." "Don't say that, Mama. I'm sure if he knew where you were, he would come for you. Then why has he not come? Why did he leave me to suffer like this?" The old woman's voice broke, and tears streamed down her wrinkled face. Amara held her hand tightly. "I don't know, Mama, but I'm here now. You're not alone anymore." Weeks turned into months. Amara's own life became increasingly difficult. Her rent was overdue, and her landlord was threatening to evict her. She had sold most of her possessions to buy medicine for Mama Grace. Her phone was disconnected because she couldn't pay the bill. She wore the same 2 uniforms, washing one while wearing the other until they were threadbare. Her colleagues at the clinic began to notice. Nurse Chioma pulled her aside one day. "Amara, what's wrong with you? You look sick. Are you eating properly?" "I'm fine, Ma." "You're not fine. You've lost so much weight. And I heard you fainted yesterday while treating a patient." "It was just the heat, Ma." Nurse Chioma studied her carefully. "There are rumors that you're treating some homeless woman with clinic supplies. Is that true?" Amara's heart sank. She had been careful, but apparently not careful enough. "Please, Ma." She was dying. "I couldn't just." "Do you know what would happen if the director found out? You would be fired immediately and possibly arrested for theft. Those supplies are for clinic patients only." "I know, Ma. I'm sorry. I couldn't let her die." Nurse Chioma sighed deeply. "Amara, you have a good heart, but you need to be practical. You can't save everyone, especially not at the cost of your own life and career." "Yes, Ma." But even with the warning, Amara couldn't abandon Mama Grace. She simply became more discreet, using her own money to buy supplies from the local pharmacy, even though it meant she had even less for herself. One evening, as Amara sat with Mama Grace in the abandoned building, the old woman took her hand. "My child, you are killing yourself for me." "What? I'm not killing myself, Mama. I'm just helping. You think I don't see? You think I don't notice how thin you've become? How your hands shake from hunger. How you give me your food and pretend you've already eaten. Amara looked away. Mama, please don't worry about me. How can I not worry? You are like the daughter I never had. You have saved my life, but now you are losing yours. My life isn't lost, Mama. It's just difficult right now, but it will get better. Mama Grace pulled something from beneath her tattered shawl. It was a small, worn photograph in a cracked frame. This is my son, Chikwudi. I've kept this picture with me all these years, even when I lost everything else. Amara looked at the photograph. It showed a handsome young man in graduation robes, smiling proudly at the camera. If you ever find him, Mama Grace said, tell him his mother never stopped loving him. Tell him I forgive him for leaving me. Tell him, Mama, don't talk like that. You're going to get better, and one day we'll find him together. Promise me, Amara. Promise me you'll tell him. I promise, Mama. But you'll tell him yourself. 6 months after Amara first found Mama Grace, something changed. By this time, the old woman had recovered significantly. She could walk short distances, and her mind was sharp and clear. Amara had even managed to get her some decent clothes from a charity organization. One morning, as Amara arrived for her usual visit, she found Mama Grace standing at the entrance of the abandoned building, looking unusually excited. Amara, come quickly. What is it, Mama? Are you okay? A man came looking for me yesterday evening, after you left. He said he was hired by someone to search for homeless elderly women in this area. He asked my name, and when I told him, he became very excited. He took my photograph and said someone would come today. Amara's heart began to race. Mama, do you think, could it be your son? I don't know. I'm afraid to hope. What if it's a mistake? What if it's someone who wants to hurt me? Don't worry, Mama. I'll stay with you. We'll face whatever comes together. They sat together in tense silence, waiting. The morning stretched on. Patients came and went from the clinic, but Amara couldn't focus on her work. Nurse Chioma scolded her twice for making mistakes. Around noon, Amara heard the sound of a car engine, unusual in this neglected part of the neighborhood where most people walked. She looked outside and saw a shiny black Mercedes pull up near the abandoned building. Her breath caught in her throat. Mama, someone is here. The car door opened and a man stepped out. He was tall and well-dressed in an expensive suit, but his face was etched with worry and fear. Behind him, 2 other men emerged. They looked like security guards. The well-dressed man looked around uncertainly, then started walking toward the abandoned building. Amara watched as recognition flashed across Mama Grace's face. Chikwudi, the old woman whispered, her hand flying her mouth. My son, my son. She tried to stand, but her legs were shaking too much. The man drew closer, and as he entered the building, his eyes fell upon Mama Grace. For a moment, he froze, as if unable to believe what he was seeing. Mama. His voice was thick with emotion. Mama, is that really you? Chikwudi. Mama Grace cried out, and suddenly she found the strength to move. She stumbled forward, and her son rushed to catch her, wrapping her in his arms as they both wept. Amara stood back, tears streaming down her own face, watching the reunion she had prayed would happen. Mama, Mama, I'm so sorry, Chikwudi sobbed, holding his mother tightly. I tried to find you for so long. When I came back to the old house, you were gone. No one knew where you were. I've been searching for months, hiring people, checking hospitals, shelters, everywhere. I thought I'd lost you forever. My son, you came back. You didn't forget me. Forget you? Mama, how could I ever forget you? You are everything to me. They held each other for long minutes, both crying, both trying to make sense of this miracle. Finally, Chikwudi pulled back slightly and looked around the abandoned building, horror crossing his face. Mama, have you been living here? In this place? Mama Grace no didwiakli. After you stopped calling, I had nothing. The landlord put me out. I had nowhere to go. Stop calling? Mama, I never stopped calling. I called the same number every week for years, but it was disconnected. I tried to send money, but the account was closed. What happened? The phone belonged to our neighbor. After you left, she moved away and took her phone with her. She never told me. She never gave me your messages or your money. I waited and waited, but nothing came. I thought you had abandoned me. Chikwiti's face contorted with anguish. Oh God, Mama. All this time, all this suffering, and I didn't know. I should have done more. I should have come back sooner. You are here now, my son. That is all that matters. It was then that Chikwiti noticed Amara standing quietly in the corner. Who is this? Mama Grace reached out her hand toward Amara. This is the angel God sent to save me. This is Amara. She found me when I was dying. For 6 months, she has been treating me, feeding me, caring for me. She used her own money, her own food. She saved my life, my son. Chikwiti turned to look at Amara properly for the first time. His eyes widened as he took in her thin frame, her worn uniform, her tired but kind face. You did all this for my mother? Amara nodded shyly. I'm a nurse, sir. It was my duty. Duty? Chikwiti's voice cracked. No one has a duty to sacrifice themselves for a stranger. What you did goes far beyond duty. He walked toward her and, to Amara's surprise, fell to his knees before her. Thank you, he said, his voice breaking. Thank you for saving my mother. Thank you for being there when I couldn't be. I can never repay what you've done, but please, let me try. Sir, please stand up, Amara said, embarrassed. I don't need repayment. I'm just happy Mama Grace has found you. But Chikwiti remained kneeling. Tell me what you need. Anything. Name it. And it's yours. Really, sir, I don't need. Chikwiti, Mama Grace interrupted. This girl has been starving herself to feed me. She's about to lose her home because she spent her rent money on my medicine. She walks to work every day because she can't afford transportation. She has given everything. Chikwiti looked up at Amara with new understanding. Is this true? Amara looked down, too proud to admit her struggles, but also too honest to lie. Life is difficult for everyone, sir. I managed. Where do you live? Not far from here, sir. In Mushin. And your family? My mother and siblings are in Abadan. Chikwiti stood up and pulled out his phone. He made a quick call, speaking in low, urgent tones. When he hung up, he turned to both women. We're leaving this place right now. All of us. My driver is bringing another car. Mama, I'm taking you to the best hospital in Lagos for a complete checkup. And you, he turned to Amara, you're coming too. We need to talk. But sir, I have to go to work. I'm already late and... Don't worry about work. I'll handle everything. True to his word, another car arrived within minutes. Chikwiti helped his mother into the first car, then gestured for Amara to enter the second. She hesitated, feeling overwhelmed by the sudden change in circumstances. Please, Chikwiti said gently. Let me do this. It's the least I can do. At the hospital, a gleaming private facility in Victoria Island that Amara had only seen from the outside, Mama Grace was immediately admitted for observation and treatment. Doctors swarmed around her, conducting tests and examinations. While his mother was being cared for, Chikwiti sat with Amara in a quiet waiting room. He had ordered food, more food than Amara had seen in months, and he watched with a mixture of sadness and satisfaction as she ate hungrily. Tell me about yourself, he said softly. Amara told him everything, about her father's death, her struggles to finish nursing school, her family's poverty, her difficult job at the clinic. Chikwiti listened silently, his jaw tightening with each detail. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. I built a successful construction company in America, he finally said. I came back to Nigeria 3 years ago to expand the business here. I now have contracts with the government, with private developers, with everyone. I'm building bridges, roads, housing estates. I've been blessed with more money than I ever dreamed possible. He paused, looking at his hands. But for months, while I enjoyed my success, my mother was suffering. And the person who saved her, you, was suffering too. What kind of world is this? It's just life, sir, Amara said quietly. No, it's not just life. It's injustice. And I intend to change it, at least for you. Over the next few days, Chikwiti kept his word. He paid Amara's rent for an entire year and gave her landlord extra money to renovate her room properly. He sent a substantial amount to her mother in Abadan, enough to start a real business and send all her siblings to good schools. But he didn't stop there. 1 week after the reunion, he showed up at the small clinic where Amara worked. Nurse Chioma nearly fainted when she saw the expensive cars pull up outside. Chikwudi walked into the director's office and emerged an hour later with Amara's resignation letter already processed and a glowing recommendation letter in hand. "Sir, what did you do?" Amara asked, confused and a little frightened. "Come with me," was all he said. He drove her to the other side of Lagos, to a brand new private hospital his company had helped build. The building was beautiful, 5 stories of gleaming glass and steel, with state-of-the-art equipment and pristine white corridors. "This hospital is looking for a head nurse for their pediatric ward," Chikwudi explained. "The position comes with a good salary, benefits, and accommodation in the staff quarters. I've arranged an interview for you tomorrow." Amara couldn't speak. She just stared at the building, unable to believe this was real. "Sir, I don't know what to say. Say you'll take the interview. Say you'll stop sacrificing yourself and start living the life you deserve." The next day, Amara attended the interview. Despite her nervousness, her knowledge, experience, and genuine compassion for patients shone through. She was hired on the spot. 2 weeks later, she moved into a small but comfortable apartment in the staff quarters. For the first time in her adult life, she had consistent electricity, running water, and enough food in her refrigerator. She could barely believe it was real. But the biggest surprise came a month after Mama Grace's rescue. Chikwudi showed up at Amara's door one Saturday morning, dressed casually in jeans and a traditional shirt. "I'd like to take you somewhere," he said. "If you're free." Amara nodded, curious. He drove her to a beautiful house in Lekki, one of Lagos's most affluent neighborhoods. The house was modern and spacious, with a garden full of flowering plants and a view of the ocean. "What is this place?" Amara asked. "It's my mother's new home. Come inside." They entered the house, and Amara gasped. Mama Grace sat in the living room, looking healthy and radiant in a beautiful traditional wrapper and blouse. Her hair had been styled, and she wore glasses that made her look dignified and wise. "Amara, my daughter," she exclaimed, standing up to embrace her. Come, let me show you around." The house was furnished beautifully, with everything Mama Grace could possibly need. But the old woman seemed most excited about one particular room. "This is for you," she said, opening a door. "For me?" Amara was confused. "Yes. I told Chikwudi that you must come and live with us. You're a family now. This is your room." "Mama, I can't. I have the staff quarters at the hospital." "Those are just temporary accommodations," Chikwudi said from behind her. "This is a home. Your home, if you want it." Amara looked between them, overwhelmed. "I don't understand. Why are you doing all this?" Mama Grace took her hands. "Because you didn't just save my life, my child. You gave me hope when I had none. You showed me that goodness still exists in this world. You are the daughter of my heart." "But Mama..." "No buts. You've been living for everyone else your whole life. Let someone take care of you for once." Over the following months, Amara did move in with Mama Grace and Chikwudi. Her life transformed completely. She excelled at her new job, her family in Ibadan prospered, and she found herself part of a loving family. Chikwudi and Amara spent more time together, initially because of Mama Grace, but gradually because they enjoyed each other's company. He told her about his years in America, about building his business from nothing, about the loneliness of success without family. She told him about her dreams, not just of being a nurse, but of opening a free clinic someday for people like Mama Grace, people who fell through the cracks of society. "That's a beautiful dream," Chikwudi said one evening as they sat in the garden, watching the sunset. "And I'd like to help make it happen." Amara turned to him, surprised. "What do you mean?" "I mean, let's build it together. A free clinic for the homeless and the poor. We can call it Grace's Hope, after my mother. You can run it, and I'll provide the funding and resources." "Chikwudi, that would cost millions." "I have millions, Amara. And what good is money if I can't use it to honor the woman who saved my mother and changed my life?" "The woman who saved your mother?" Amara repeated softly. "Yes, the woman I've fallen in love with." The words hung in the air between them. Amara's heart raced as she looked into his eyes and saw the truth there. "I know it might seem sudden," Chikwudi continued, "but I've been thinking about this for weeks. You're intelligent, compassionate, strong, and beautiful. You inspire me to be better. And I'd like to spend the rest of my life with you, if you'll have me. Amara didn't know whether to laugh or cry. 6 months ago, she had been a struggling nurse, barely surviving, with no hope for the future. Now, the most successful man she'd ever met was asking her to marry him. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I'll have you. Mama Grace, who had been eavesdropping from the doorway, let out a joyful shout. My children, my beautiful children. The wedding took place 6 months later. It was a grand affair, attended by hundreds of people. Chiquitti's business associates, Amara's family, nurses from both the old clinic and the new hospital, and even some of the homeless people who had known Mama Grace during her time on the streets. Amara's mother wept throughout the ceremony, unable to believe how God had turned her daughter's life around. Mama Grace sat in the front row, beaming with pride, wearing the finest traditional attire money could buy. But the most emotional moment came during the reception when Chiquitti stood to speak. Many of you know the story of how my wife and I met, he began. How she saved my mother's life when she was dying on the streets. But what you might not know is that Amara saved more than just my mother. She saved me too. He paused, his voice thick with emotion. I had everything, money, success, respect, but I had lost the most important thing. I had lost touch with my humanity. I was so focused on building my empire that I forgot what truly matters. Then Amara showed me what real wealth looks like. It's not in bank accounts or properties. It's in kindness, in sacrifice, in loving someone enough to give everything for them. He turned to face Amara, tears in his eyes. You gave everything for a stranger, expecting nothing in return. You showed me what it means to be truly rich. And now, I promise to spend every day of my life trying to be worthy of your love. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. 1 year after their marriage, Grace's Hope Free Clinic opened its doors. It was a beautiful facility, fully equipped and staffed by volunteers and paid professionals. Amara served as the director, and every day, she walked through those doors with joy in her heart, knowing that Mama Grace's suffering had not been in vain. Mama Grace herself lived to see her grandchildren, 2 beautiful babies, a boy and a girl, named after Amara's father and Chiquitti's father. She spent her final years surrounded by love, comfort, and the knowledge that her suffering had led to blessings not just for her family, but for countless others. On the wall of Grace's Hope, there hung a photograph. It showed a young nurse in a worn uniform, kneeling beside an elderly woman in an abandoned building. Below it, a plaque read, "She did not turn away. She did not look the other way. She saw suffering and responded with love." This is the spirit of Grace's Hope. And every day, hundreds of people walked through those doors, the sick, the homeless, the forgotten, and found hope just as Mama Grace once had. Moral lesson. True wealth is not measured in money, but in the richness of one's character and compassion. When you help others selflessly, especially when you yourself have little, you plant seeds of blessing that will grow in ways you cannot imagine. Kindness is never wasted. Every act of compassion, no matter how small, creates ripples that spread far beyond what we can see. The nurse who barely had enough for herself gave everything to save a stranger, and in doing so, saved herself and countless others. In life, our greatest treasures often come disguised as burdens, and our biggest blessings emerge from our deepest compassion. When we choose love over convenience, sacrifice over comfort, and humanity over personal gain, we open doors to miracles we never thought possible. Remember, you never know whose life you're changing when you choose to care. The homeless woman you help today might be the mother of the man who changes your tomorrow. But even if no reward ever comes, the act of kindness itself is its own reward, for it elevates not just the recipient, but the giver as well. Thank you for reading this story. May it inspire you to see the divine spark in every person you meet, and to never underestimate the power of compassionate heart. If this story touched you, please share with others so they too can be reminded of what truly matters in life.